What if the people you trusted most betrayed you? What if your own brothers sold you into slavery simply because they hated you? And what if the darkest moments of your life were secretly leading you toward greatness? This is not fiction. This is one of the most emotional and powerful stories ever written in the Bible. It is the story of jealousy, betrayal, suffering, faith, forgiveness, and destiny. This is the story of Joseph. Yellow Circle Chapter 1. The Favorite Son. Joseph was the son of Jacob, one of the great patriarchs of Israel. But among all his children, Jacob loved Joseph more than the others. Perhaps it was because Joseph was born to Rachel, the woman Jacob loved deeply. Or perhaps because Joseph was gentle, intelligent, and different from his brothers. Whatever the reason, everyone could see the favoritism. And one day, Jacob made it impossible to ignore. He gave Joseph a magnificent robe, a richly ornamented coat with many colors. To Joseph, it was a gift of love. But to his brothers, it was proof that they would never be equal in their father's eyes. Jealousy slowly began growing inside them like poison. And then Joseph started having dreams. Dreams that would change everything. Yellow Circle Chapter 2. The Dreams of Greatness. Joseph's dreams were strange, but powerful. In one dream, he and his brothers were gathering bundles of grain in a field. Suddenly, Joseph's bundle stood upright, and the bundles belonging to his brothers bowed down before it. In another dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed before him. Joseph, still young and innocent, shared these dreams openly with his family. But his brothers did not see dreams. They saw arrogance. To them, Joseph sounded as if he believed he would one day rule over all of them. Their jealousy became hatred, and hatred soon became something far more dangerous. Yellow Circle Chapter 3. Betrayed by his own brothers. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers as they watched the flocks far from home. When the brothers saw him approaching in the distance, their anger exploded. "Here comes the dreamer," they said mockingly. At first, some wanted to kill him, but one brother convinced them not to spill blood. Instead, they grabbed Joseph violently, stripped away his beautiful robe, and threw him into an empty pit. Imagine Joseph at that moment, confused, terrified, begging his own brothers for mercy. But they ignored his cries. Then, while Joseph remained trapped in darkness, a caravan of traders passed nearby on the way to Egypt. And suddenly, the brothers saw an opportunity. Instead of killing Joseph, they sold him as a slave. For 20 pieces of silver. Their own brother. Sold like property. Then they dipped Joseph's robe in animal blood and brought it back to their father. Jacob saw the bloody robe and collapsed in grief. He believed his beloved son had been torn apart by wild beasts. That night, a father mourned, while Joseph was carried far away into slavery. Yellow Circle Chapter 4. A slave in Egypt. Joseph arrived in Egypt alone. No family. No freedom. No future. He was sold to a powerful Egyptian officer named Potiphar. But even as a slave, Joseph was different. He worked faithfully. He was wise, disciplined, and trustworthy. Soon, Potiphar noticed him. Little by little, Joseph rose in responsibility until he managed the entire household. For a moment, it seemed his life was improving again. But another disaster was waiting. Potiphar's wife became attracted to Joseph. Again and again, she tried to seduce him. But Joseph refused. He would not betray his master, and he would not betray God. Humiliated by rejection, Potiphar's wife became furious. So she lied. She accused Joseph of trying to assault her. And without a fair trial, Joseph was thrown into prison. Once again he suffered for doing the right thing. Once again his life collapsed. Yellow Circle Chapter 5. The Darkness of Prison. Years passed inside prison walls. Most people would have become bitter. But Joseph held on to his faith. And even in prison, people noticed something special about him. Eventually, Joseph was placed in charge of the other prisoners. During this time, 2 servants of Pharaoh were imprisoned. Both men had disturbing dreams. Joseph listened carefully and interpreted them. And his interpretations came true exactly as he said. One servant was restored to Pharaoh's palace. The other was executed. Before leaving, the restored servant promised Joseph, "I will remember you." But he forgot. And Joseph remained in prison for 2 more years. Imagine the pain. Forgotten. Abandoned. Still waiting. Yet everything was about to change. Yellow Circle Chapter 6. The Dream of Pharaoh. One night, Pharaoh himself had terrifying dreams. 7 healthy cows were devoured by 7 thin, starving cows. Then 7 healthy ears of grain were swallowed by 7 withered ones. No magician or wise man in Egypt could explain the dreams. That was when the servant finally remembered Joseph. Joseph was rushed out of prison and brought before Pharaoh. Standing before the ruler of Egypt, Joseph explained. The dreams were a warning from God. 7 years of abundance were coming, but after them would come 7 years of terrible famine. Joseph advised Pharaoh to store food during the years of plenty. Pharaoh was astonished by Joseph's wisdom. And in one unbelievable moment, Joseph went from prisoner to ruler. Pharaoh placed him in charge of all Egypt. The betrayed slave had become the second most powerful man in the world. Yellow Circle Chapter 7. The Famine and the Return of His Brothers. Then the famine arrived exactly as Joseph predicted. People from many lands traveled to Egypt seeking food. Among them, Joseph's brothers, the same brothers who had betrayed him years earlier. When they entered Egypt and bowed before Joseph, they did not recognize him. But Joseph recognized them instantly. The dreams had finally come true. The brothers who once hated him were now bowing before him. Joseph could have taken revenge. He had power, authority, control over their lives. But instead, he tested their hearts. Had they changed? Did they still hate one another? Did they feel remorse? And slowly, Joseph discovered something surprising. His brothers were no longer the same men who had betrayed him. Yellow Circle Chapter 8. The Emotional Reunion. Finally, Joseph could no longer control his emotions. He began to weep loudly. Then he revealed the truth. I am Joseph, your brother. His brothers froze in terror. They expected revenge, punishment, perhaps even death. Joseph forgave them. And he spoke one of the most powerful lines in the entire Bible. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Joseph understood something extraordinary. Even the evil done against him had become part of a greater plan. The pit led to slavery. Slavery led to prison. Prison led to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh led to destiny. Eventually, Joseph brought his father Jacob and the entire family to Egypt. After years of grief and separation, father and son embraced again. And the family was reunited.